What's up guys, it's Widgeon TV here. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most outstanding simulation games I have ever played, and that game is Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Space Program is a hard game to describe because there are so many different aspects to this game, but I'm going to narrow it way down, and I'm only going to talk about 3 specific things in this review. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the incredibly in-depth rocket building and airplane building stations. There are hundreds of unique pieces in this game. If you play in sandbox mode, you have unlimited money and all the pieces are already unlocked. You can build everything from small pencil-thin rockets to huge interplanetary rockets. You can make all sorts of different payloads for these rockets. This includes landers and rovers that you can land on different planets and moons. There is a very in-depth career mode too, where you collect science from visiting other planets and putting rockets into orbit. You use this science to research new parts for your rockets and to help fund your rocket program. The career mode is a great mode for beginners and experienced players alike. So the second part of Kerbal Space Program that I'm going to talk about, I'll sum up with the words, the launch pad. Now, if you're an experienced player, you'll be spending a lot less time on the launch pad. But if you're new to KSP, you'll end up spending a lot of time on the launch pad. So you may be asking, why would I be spending a lot of time on the launch pad? Well, just because you built a really cool looking rocket, that doesn't mean that it's going to fly. So you end up testing and then retesting your rockets a ton of times. It's a ton of fun to test your rocket, see where it breaks in half, and then go back and fix it and try to improve it for the next run. This is honestly one of the best parts of Kerbal Space Program. The trial and error is incredibly rewarding and incredibly fun. So you control these rockets with basically 2 things. You've got the nav ball, which is really important. It shows you which way you're pointing in 3D space. And then you have your stages. Now when you launch your rocket, every time you press the space bar, it will activate a new stage. And whatever's in that stage will either turn on, decouple, deploy, or even activating parachutes right before you hit the ground. These can be easily rearranged mid-flight. Normally you set them up to your liking in the building phase. The goal here is pretty much just to get your rocket into orbit, which seems kind of easy. To put simply, it's just not easy. As soon as you get anything into orbit, it's such a great feeling, and you're greeted with a great view of planet Kerbin. Here's a picture of my first successful orbit, and then much later I finally made my own little moon base, with a little moon lander and a rover. That was back in early 2013, when this game was really in its infancy. So the last phase is the exploration phase. So as soon as you've mastered getting into orbit, you now have a handful of gas giants, moons, and planets to explore. Now I'm gonna be honest here. Remember at the beginning when I called this game a simulation game? That was no lie. And this game happens to be about rocket science. Now I don't know if I would compare this game to actual rocket science, but don't get me wrong, this part of the game is incredibly difficult. You have to get everything right, from getting the correct delta V to making sure that the planets are in the correct orientation before you launch. Now this is hard. This is hard stuff. So if there was one thing that I didn't really love about Kerbal Space Program, is how difficult it is. Now I wouldn't want this game to be any other way. It's perfect how it is. So the difficulty of the game may deter some newer players from really exploring the whole game. Don't buy this game expecting an easy ride to Mars, also known as Duna. One last thing that I wanted to touch on are the mods available for this game. This game to this day has a very active modding community. There are mods for everything. There's new pieces, new rockets. If you want, you can do more math, and if you want, you can do much less math. And in fact, to help save time for this video, I ended up using HyperEdit, which allows me to edit the positions of almost anything in the game. Kerbal Space Program is an incredibly deep game. When it comes to simulations, this is the #1 game for me. It's fun for newbies, and it's fun for experienced players too. You get to take your spacecraft all over the solar system. The amount of depth in this game is almost unlimited, and so is the fun that you'll be having. There is so much more to talk about this game, but unfortunately I can't put it all in one video. As a science and physics lover, I cannot describe to you how much I love this game. Alright, that's going to be all from me. Any feedback is welcome. Make sure to subscribe for high quality reviews and video game news. Thanks for watching, guys.